a store owner who initially hired a woman with disabilities solely to mock her. However, the installation of security cameras reveals an unexpected truth that defies all expectations. So, get ready to be moved by the twist in this story, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Also turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming videos. The small town of São Gabriel was a place where time seemed to move more slowly. With its quiet streets and softly colored houses, it felt like a scene out of an old tale. In the heart of this picturesque town was a place that drew everyone's attention: Fernando's Antiques. The shop wasn't large, but its red brick facade and windows, framed by dark velvet curtains, attracted both locals and visitors. The store was a true treasure chest, filled with antique furniture, wall clocks, and fine porcelain. But behind the charming storefront was the real center of attention: Mr. Fernando. Known to everyone, he was a man of medium height, with a well-groomed mustache and sharp eyes that always seemed to be on the lookout for a new source of amusement. Mr. Fernando had a peculiar charisma, often hiding a dubious character. He loved to draw attention, and one of his favorite ways to do so was at the expense of others. Mr. Fernando had a remarkable knack for making people talk about him. Some of his actions were challenging and somewhat cruel, and he used them to create a spectacle. He was famous for his biting jokes and sarcastic comments about everything and everyone. It was not uncommon to see him with an enigmatic smile on his face, provoking customers with sharp and often disrespectful observations. What many didn't know was that Mr. Fernando delighted in making others uncomfortable, especially when he thought it would bring him some kind of advantage or amusement. He found pleasure in creating situations where people felt small or ridiculous, always hiding behind a facade of jokes and humor. This made him a controversial figure in the town. While some found him charming and entertaining, others saw him as a man lacking in empathy, someone who enjoyed the misadventures of others more than his own life. The antique store, despite its elegant facade, served as the stage for Mr. Fernando's whims. He liked to create little games for customers and employees, challenging them to find hidden objects or solve complex riddles that often seemed more like pranks than real challenges. People, drawn by the promise of finding something special, ended up falling into Fernando's traps, who took cruel pleasure in seeing the expressions of frustration and confusion on people's faces. However, despite his questionable behavior, Fernando's store was where the town gathered to share stories and discuss everyday life. It was a meeting place where, even with the constant provocation, there was a sense of community. People could always count on lively conversation and good coffee, which Mr. Fernando made sure to serve to everyone. Although the coziest part of the experience was often overshadowed by his eccentric behavior, on a cloudy Tuesday morning, the small town of São Gabriel awoke with an air of expectation. The fresh air and gentle breeze heralded the arrival of a new candidate for the position of employee at Mr. Fernando's antique store. Anna, a 35-year-old woman with a striking presence, was about to cross the store's doors for the first time. She had a visual impairment that made her wear an elegant pair of sunglasses, even on cloudy days. Although Anna's eyes were only shadows hidden behind the dark lenses, her confidence and determination shone brightly. As Anna entered the store, the doorbell rang softly, and the atmosphere of the store instantly changed. Mr. Fernando, who was behind the counter, looked up from the newspaper he was reading, his sharp eyes observing the new visitor with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Anna was dressed in a simple yet elegant outfit: a light blue blouse and a black skirt that flowed down to her ankles. Discreet accessories completed her look, and she carefully carried a small black bag. Mr. Fernando, with his usual air of superiority, quickly reviewed Anna's resume in his mind. He knew she had a visual impairment, but he didn't know exactly how that would impact her work. At first, he had planned to conduct the interview routinely, perhaps to provoke a bit, but something in Anna's demeanor made him hesitate. She walked toward him with confident steps, as if guided by an inner confidence that transcended her physical lack of sight. "Good morning, Mr. Fernando. My name is Anna. I'm here for the interview for the assistant position," she said, her voice clear and firm, with no sign of hesitation or nervousness. Mr. Fernando raised an eyebrow, not exactly surprised but intrigued. "Good morning, Anna. Please, have a seat." He gestured to a chair in front of the counter, watching as she settled gracefully. Anna did not seem uncomfortable. On the contrary, she seemed to be in her element. Her movements were precise, and she appeared completely at ease with the space around her, even without seeing. "So Anna, tell me a bit about your experience and how you think you can contribute to our store," Mr. Fernando asked, trying to maintain a tone of formality, but with a hint of hidden irony. He was curious to see how Anna would handle the challenge, perhaps even hoping for some sort of failure. Anna smiled and, without losing her composure, began to speak with passion and knowledge. I've worked in various stores and museums over the years, always focusing on customer service and organization. My visual impairment has taught me to develop other senses and skills. For example, I've learned to listen for details and recognize subtleties in products through touch and sound. I believe this allows me to understand and appreciate antique items in a unique way. As Anna spoke, Mr. Fernando began to be impressed by the depth of her knowledge and the way she approached her disability, not as a limitation, but as an additional skill. He observed as she continued to describe her meticulous approach to cataloging and caring for items, and how she used specific techniques to ensure each piece received the proper care and respect. I also have a great passion for stories, Anna added. Every antique piece has a story to tell, and I strive to understand those stories so I can share them with customers in an engaging way. I believe that despite not seeing, I am able to perceive the value and importance of each object very clearly. Hearing these words, Mr. Fernando felt a pang of embarrassment mixed with admiration. He was accustomed to making jokes and creating uncomfortable situations for fun, but Anna was not only rising to the challenge, but turning the interview into a demonstration of competence and insight, a vision that did not depend on her eyes. Finally, Mr. Fernando concluded the interview, not with the disdain he had planned, but with growing respect. "All right, Anna, let's see how you adapt to the store's environment. I'll be in touch with you soon." Anna stood up, thanked him for his time, and left the store with the same confidence she had entered with. Mr. Fernando, now alone, looked at the space where she had been and began to reflect on the impact of her presence. What he had initially seen as an opportunity for entertainment turned out to be a lesson in true skills and perceptions. After Anna's interview, Mr. Fernando was left in deep thought, but not for reasons a typical interviewer might consider. Instead of evaluating her qualifications to find the best candidate, he was more interested in how he could turn the new employee into an object of amusement for his own selfish purposes. Sitting behind his old desk, with the walls lined with shelves full of antiques and curiosities, Mr. Fernando analyzed what he had just experienced. He recalled Anna's face, still fresh in his memory. The way she spoke with such passion and confidence despite her visual impairment was something he decided to turn into an opportunity for his own games. Fernando's mind was brimming with Machiavellian plans. He wanted to use Anna as a pawn in a cruel game of superiority, a piece in a theater where he could prove to his friends and clients that, deep down, he was the true master of the stage. Mr. Fernando was the type of person who enjoyed creating situations where he could feel superior to others, often at the expense of his own respect. Anna, with her striking presence and condition, seemed the perfect target for what he had in mind. The next day, Fernando called Anna and offered her the job with exaggerated cordiality, which sounded more like an obligation than a genuine offer. He promised a fair salary and a job description that seemed to be for a regular assistant. However, in reality, he had very different plans for the role she would play. Anna accepted the offer with enthusiasm and a glimmer of hope in her eyes. She was excited about the opportunity and determined to prove her skills and value. Little did she know that the antique store was about to become the stage for a cruel game orchestrated by Fernando. When Anna started working at Mr. Fernando's antique store, the atmosphere was charged with curiosity mixed with subtle disdain. The store, which had once been a place of tranquility and introspection, was now wrapped in a constant murmur about the new employee. The doors had opened to a new chapter, and with it came glances and whispers that Anna could not see, but certainly felt. Anna walked through the door with the same confidence she had shown during the interview. She was excited and ready to showcase her skills. Her steps were firm and methodical, and she moved through the store with the familiarity of someone who was already at home. But the reception she received was not warm. On the contrary, it was a mix of curiosity and disdain. The store's employees, who were a small but diverse group, were well aware of Fernando's decision to hire Anna. Some of them, with expressions of disbelief, whispered among themselves. Paula, the sales assistant, cast a scornful glance as Anna walked by her for the first time. Her eyes narrowed with a mix of curiosity and judgment. She was not alone. Other colleagues also observed with a subtle kind of superiority, feeding into Fernando's plan to present Anna as a curious exhibit. Anna's interactions with her colleagues were marked by cordiality and professionalism. She made sure to greet each person with a friendly smile and respectful salutation. However, her efforts were often ignored or met with terse responses. Some employees avoided any conversation that was not strictly necessary, as if they were indifferent to her presence, while others simply watched with a kind of silent superiority. The customers who frequented the store were not immune to the atmosphere Fernando had created. Those who entered the store for a simple visit or to browse the antiques were greeted with the sight of Ana working. Many looked at her with visible curiosity, sometimes even interrupting their activities to question whether she was truly up to the task. Instead of seeing Ana as a qualified professional, some saw only her visual impairment and used that as a basis to make subtle comments. On a particularly busy day, an elderly customer, a regular at the store, remarked loudly to Fernando, "It's impressive how you found a way to handle these complicated issues." His tone, though disguised as praise, carried a subtext of irony. Fernando simply smiled, his knowing glance meeting the eyes of some employees who, in turn, exchanged discreet smiles of approval. Despite this challenging environment, Ana remained focused and dedicated. She began to demonstrate exceptional skill in finding and organizing items, with an attention to detail that many would consider impossible without sight. Her methodical methods and deep knowledge of antiques soon caught the attention of some more observant customers, who started to comment on her remarkable ability. But rather than easing the atmosphere of disdain, these observations created a new kind of murmur, one that questioned even more why Ana was being treated with such little respect. The initial disdain mixed with a new layer of skepticism, as some began to realize that Ana was exceeding expectations, challenging the prejudiced narrative Fernando had tried to build. Days went by, and Ana continued to perform her duties with professionalism and determination. Every task she undertook, every customer she served, was done with the same excellence. Regardless of the attitudes and glances around her, she turned every challenge into an opportunity to prove her worth, showing that her competence was not limited by her lack of sight, but enriched by a deeper perception of what eyes could see. Mr. Fernando began to feel that his initial strategies were not yielding the returns he had hoped for. Instead of seeing Ana stumble and fail, as he had planned, he began to notice an improvement in her performance and her interaction with customers. The situation was starting to spiral out of control from what he had imagined, and this left him frustrated. To ensure his plans were not thwarted, Fernando decided to take his strategy a step further. He needed a more effective way to document any mistakes Ana might make and, at the same time, maintain the appearance of a concerned employer. So he made a calculated decision to install security cameras at strategic points in the store. The installation process began on a rainy morning when the store was less busy. Fernando hired a local security company to set up the camera system. The cameras were placed discreetly in locations where most customers and employees would not immediately notice them, above high shelves, in wall corners, and in less visible areas. Each camera was positioned precisely to cover Ana's work area and the critical points of the store, ensuring that everything she did was recorded. Fernando watched with a satisfied look as the team installed the equipment. He was eager to see the results and, most importantly, to have the evidence he needed to fuel his intentions. Once the cameras were operational, he sat in front of the security system monitor, adjusting the angles and reviewing the image quality. The setup was perfect. Every corner of the store was now under surveillance and recorded. The next step for Fernando was to ensure that the recordings were used in the way he desired. He knew that if Ana made a mistake, he could use the footage to show his friends and clients, reinforcing his preconceived idea and maintaining control of the situation. Fernando planned to regularly review the recordings, looking for any small slip or error that could be amplified for his own pleasure and satisfaction. Ana began her day at the store with a meticulous method. She divided the space into distinct sections, categorizing items according to their origin, type, and historical value. With her skilled hands and deep knowledge of antiques, she started organizing the pieces to facilitate viewing and access. She created detailed and systematic labels, not only identifying each item, but also including information about its history and the necessary care. One of Ana's first challenges was tackling an area of the store that had been neglected for a long time. It was a dark, dusty section filled with poorly stored antique boxes. Many of these items were valuable, but they were covered in dust and mixed up in a chaotic manner. Ana approached the problem with infectious enthusiasm. She cleaned each item with care and attention, using appropriate techniques to preserve their integrity. Over time, she restored the shine and value to pieces that had been forgotten by everyone except for the dust. As Ana worked, the store's customers began to notice the difference. They marveled at how the store was transforming. Items that were previously hard to find were now organized and displayed attractively. Each piece was clearly labeled, with information that customers appreciated and that helped them understand the historical value and significance of each item. Compliments soon followed. Customers who had previously visited the store sporadically now found more reasons to spend time there. Some came specifically to see the new displays and talk to Anna about the restored pieces. Her ability to identify and restore valuable items caught the attention of many. Anna had a natural talent for capturing the essence of each piece and presenting it correctly. Mr. Fernando, who had initially planned to use Anna as an object of ridicule, began to observe the change in the store with a mix of surprise and irritation. The positive transformation was evident to him, and he could not ignore the impact Anna was having. The areas he used to ignore or consider unimportant were now receiving attention and appreciation. Sales began to rise, and the store was starting to gain a new reputation in town. Fernando, who had eagerly anticipated finding faults to document and showcase, now found himself in an uncomfortable position. Increasingly, he was forced to acknowledge that Anna was exceeding his expectations and not only fulfilling her duties, but elevating the store to a new level. He could not deny that Anna's work was contributing significantly to the store's success, despite his efforts to show otherwise. As the store continued to transform under Anna's supervision, the situation began to change even more. The criticisms and jokes Fernando had planned gradually dissipated. Anna's true values started to shine, and the store was becoming seen as a place where professionalism and dedication were appreciated. Customers were talking about the store in positive terms, and Anna was becoming a respected and admired figure. As the days went by, Mr. Fernando's frustration with Anna's unexpected rise in the antique store began to become evident. Fernando's original plan, which had been carefully designed to make Anna a target of mockery, was falling apart. Instead of seeing Anna stumble and fail, he was witnessing the opposite. She was standing out and transforming the store into a place of growing success. Fernando, who had started the project with the intention of enjoying himself at Anna's expense, now found himself facing a scenario that not only challenged his expectations, but also threatened his ego. Anna's success in organizing the store and her ability to restore and appreciate antiques were drawing everyone's attention. Customers who had previously entered the store with indifference were now praising Anna's work and marveling at the transformation she had brought. In the office, Fernando spent hours reviewing the security camera footage. Instead of finding evidence of mistakes and errors, he saw Anna working with dedication and precision. Every time a new order arrived or a valuable item was restored, Fernando felt his frustration growing. He was witnessing Anna not only fulfilling her responsibilities but exceeding everyone's expectations, which completely contradicted what he had planned. On one particularly irritating day, Fernando had just watched a video of Anna skillfully explaining to a customer the historical significance of a rare piece. The way she demonstrated deep knowledge and genuine passion for the work was a sight Fernando could not tolerate. Her success was becoming a constant reminder that his plan for ridicule had completely failed. To make matters worse, the store was beginning to become a landmark in the city. Positive reviews and the increasing number of satisfied customers were putting Fernando under pressure. He found himself increasingly in an uncomfortable position, as the store's success was directly linked to Anna's work, something he had not anticipated and could not control. Fernando tried to deal with his irritation in various ways. Sometimes he cast annoyed looks at Anna, who continued working with her usual professionalism. At other times, he made acid comments to his colleagues, who began to notice the growing tension. His remarks, often disguised as jokes, had a tone of frustration that did not go unnoticed. One day, during a routine meeting with the team, Fernando tried to shift the focus away from Anna. He began criticizing the arrangement of some pieces in the store, hinting that Anna's work might not be as perfect as it seemed. His comments carried a negative connotation, but his colleagues recognized what was really happening and remained silent, refusing to be influenced by Fernando's discontent. Meanwhile, Anna continued to excel. She started receiving praise not only from customers, but also from collectors and antiques experts who visited the store. Each new success seemed to be a blow to Fernando's ego, and he found himself increasingly trapped in a cycle of frustration and irritation. As time passed and Anna continued transforming Mr. Fernando's antique store with her meticulous and passionate work, a growing group of customers and colleagues began to recognize the quality and dedication she brought to her job. The store's atmosphere began to change gradually, and Anna began to attract admiration and support from people who had previously been indifferent to the real impact of her work. Customers who frequented the store, many of whom had come in search of rare and historically valuable antiques, began to be impressed by the level of care and knowledge demonstrated by Anna. Those who had been regular customers for years now found themselves talking about the positive transformation they were witnessing. Compliments became more frequent, and many customers began to seek out Anna directly for advice and information about the store's pieces. One regular customer, Mr. Almeida, an antiques collector who used to visit the store weekly, was among the first to notice the change. He observed how Anna organized and restored pieces with meticulous detail, something that had been lacking before. Mr. Almeida began to comment on Anna's dedication to other customers and frequently shared his positive experience on social media, publicly praising her work. His support was a significant factor in increasing Anna's visibility and helping to change the store's perception. In the workplace, the situation also began to change. Some of Anna's colleagues, who had initially maintained an indifferent or even disparaging attitude, began to recognize the importance and value of her work. Paula, the sales assistant who had been one of the most critical, was the first to change her attitude. Observing Anna overcome challenges with such grace and skill, Paula began to see how much Anna was contributing to the store's success. She started to interact with Anna more amicably, offering help and support, and sharing her positive observations with other team members. Other employees, who had remained neutral, began to rally in support of Anna. Carlos, the inventory manager, was known for his keen eye and knowledge about the store's items. He began to highlight the importance of the improvements Anna had made, sharing with customers the precision with which she restored the pieces. Carlos, who had previously kept his distance, started to praise Anna in front of customers and defend her work against any negative criticism that arose. The change in the store's atmosphere became even more evident when a group of customers decided to take more concrete action to support Anna. A group of loyal customers, who had been particularly impressed by her work, organized a small collection to give her a token of appreciation. They bought a rare book on antiques, something Anna had mentioned in a conversation, and presented it to her in a small ceremony inside the store. This gesture not only highlighted Anna's positive impact, but also served as a strong symbol of community support for her work. Mr. Fernando began to notice these changes with increasing discomfort. The store was becoming a place where Anna was respected and admired, in stark contrast to the scenario he had planned. Criticisms of his disdainful behavior started to emerge, and some customers began to publicly question the way Fernando treated Anna. The growing wave of support for Anna began to undermine Fernando's authority and control, leaving him increasingly isolated. The situation reached a point where Fernando found himself confronted not only by Anna, but by a work environment that was changing before his eyes. Anna's colleagues and customers began to come together to defend her against any injustice and continue supporting the positive vision and hard work she was providing. The store was becoming a place where competition and dedication were valued, and Fernando's disdainful attitude was increasingly questioned. On a cloudy and cold afternoon, Mr. Fernando decided to spend more time reviewing the security camera footage, hoping to find some mistake or slip by Anna that he could use to his advantage. He had a busy schedule of administrative tasks and, after weeks of frustration, found a moment of calm to delve into the video files he had accumulated. Fernando settled into his office, adjusting the monitor screen to view the footage from strategically placed cameras in the store. The recordings began to roll one after another, showing the daily routine of the store. Initially, he watched Anna performing her tasks with the same dedication and attention that had become her trademark. With each new task, Fernando searched for a mistake, a slip, anything that could confirm his suspicions that Anna was not up to the job. However, something surprising began to emerge from the recordings. Instead of just seeing an employee trying to fulfill her responsibilities, Fernando started to notice a deeply personal connection between Anna and the store's items. He observed Anna handling antique pieces with an almost reverent care. Her movements were gentle and deliberate, and the way she examined and restored each item demonstrated an intimate knowledge and a passion that transcended expectations. In one of the videos, Fernando saw Anna helping a customer interested in an old music box. The customer seemed initially skeptical and indifferent, but Anna's approach was notable. With a delicate touch, she opened the music box and began to explain its history. She described the origin of the piece, the details of its internal mechanism, and the traditions associated with the music it produced. The way she spoke about the piece not only clarified its historical value, but also evoked a sense of charm and admiration that was contagious to the customer. The customer's interest was clearly piqued, and he decided to buy the music box. satisfied and impressed by Anna's depth of knowledge. In another video, Anna was alone in the store, preparing a new section for display. Fernando watched her organize each item with meticulous care, arranging the pieces to highlight their unique features. In a particularly touching moment, Anna found a small jewelry box that was in poor condition. Instead of merely cleaning it, she examined it thoroughly and began a detailed restoration process. The patience and love with which she treated each item were evident, and Fernando realized that Anna was not just working to make a living, but was dedicated to preserving and valuing the history that each piece represented. Anna's connection with customers was also visible in the recordings. She not only attended to their needs but engaged with them genuinely. She asked about what they were looking for and listened to their stories attentively, creating an atmosphere of empathy and respect. Several customers, impressed with Anna's personal attention and care, left positive comments, many highlighting how she had gone above and beyond to help them find exactly what they needed. As Fernando watched these scenes, he began to feel a mix of surprise and discomfort. What he had planned as an opportunity to expose faults and deficiencies was, in reality, revealing an impressive demonstration of competence and passion. Anna's dedication to her work, her deep knowledge of antiques, and her ability to build genuine relationships with customers were showing her in a light Fernando had never anticipated. As he continued watching, Fernando began to question his own intentions and attitudes. He was witnessing something that challenged his expectations and at the same time revealed Anna's true essence. His initial frustration began to transform into unsettling introspection. The recordings portrayed Anna in a way that starkly contrasted with what he had imagined. Instead of a failure, he saw an exceptional and inspiring employee, someone who was elevating the store to new heights. The impact of this realization was profound for Fernando. He found himself struggling to reconcile his prejudiced vision with the reality before his eyes. The image of Anna, not only as a competent employee, but as a true lover of history and the pieces she cared for, directly challenged the plan he had conceived. Fernando sat in his leather chair, his head resting in his hands. The office lights were off, except for the bluish glow of the monitor still displaying the footage. He had repeatedly watched the scenes revealing Anna's dedication, and more, he felt uncomfortable with what he was seeing. His initial intention of finding faults and errors in Anna's performance had transformed into a painful revelation about his own attitudes. As the videos continued to play, Fernando began to reflect on his own actions and the prejudice he had harbored against Anna. He recalled the day Anna had come for the interview with her quiet confidence and determined gaze. Instead of seeing that as a strength, Fernando had ignored or minimized her qualities and skills simply because of her visual impairment. Slowly, a sense of regret began to emerge. Fernando reviewed how he had treated Anna from the beginning, how his plan to ridicule her was deeply rooted in prejudice and a lack of empathy. He thought about the times he had made disparaging jokes about Anna's abilities to his colleagues, and how, in some way, those actions had contributed to creating a hostile environment for her. As Fernando watched the videos showing Anna restoring an old desk, he was moved by the way she treated each piece with a care that seemed almost personal. She not only restored the objects, but appeared to understand their history and sentimental value. The way she connected with customers, listening attentively to their stories and sharing detailed information about the pieces, demonstrated a true passion for her work. Fernando realized that Anna had brought a type of value to the store that he had never recognized before. One memory in particular stood out as he watched a video of Anna helping a family choose a special gift for their grandfather. She spoke with such sensitivity and understanding, helping them find the perfect piece that resonated with their family's history. The genuine smile of the family when they finally found the gift was something Fernando hadn't noticed before, but now it seemed deeply significant. It was clear to him that Anna had a positive and genuine impact on people's lives. With a heavy sigh, Fernando got up from his chair and began walking around the room, reflecting on what he had learned. He felt ashamed for underestimating Anna and for trying to ridicule her, instead of recognizing the talent and valuable contribution she was bringing to the store. It was a bitter but necessary lesson. Fernando started to think about how he could correct his mistakes. He knew that words alone wouldn't be enough to repair the damage caused, but he felt compelled to try. He considered the idea of offering a public apology, perhaps even recognizing Anna's exceptional work at an in-store event, where customers and colleagues could see how much his opinion had changed. Moreover, Fernando began to contemplate how he could transform the store into a more inclusive and respectful environment. He wanted to ensure that the lessons he had learned were not in vain, and that the store became a place where each individual's value was recognized and appreciated. Anna's presence, which initially seemed like a threat to his ego, was now seen as a source of inspiration and learning. As Fernando prepared to face a new day, he was determined to make significant changes. He knew that rebuilding trust and respect wouldn't be easy, but he was committed to starting the process. He had a new vision for the store, and more importantly, a new understanding of the importance of recognizing and valuing true competence and dedication, regardless of appearances or first impressions. With a renewed sense of purpose, Fernando went to bed, reflecting on the path ahead. He had learned a valuable lesson and was ready to face the challenges to come, hoping that by doing so, he could help create an environment where everyone could thrive and be appreciated for their true qualities. The next day dawned clear and promising, and the antique store was open for a new day of work. Mr. Fernando had spent the night awake, reflecting on the necessary changes and the impact of his actions. He knew he needed to do more than just acknowledge his mistakes internally. It was time to act and demonstrate the change he wanted to see. Upon arriving at the store, Fernando was resolute and had a new attitude. He greeted each of the employees with a genuine smile, something that was unusual for him. The team immediately noticed the difference in Fernando's behavior. There was an aura of sincerity in his actions that contrasted with the coldness and distance that had previously marked his interactions. When Anna arrived, Fernando was waiting for her at the store entrance. The expression on his face was a mix of nervousness and sincerity. He had carefully planned what he wanted to say, knowing that a simple apology wouldn't be enough to repair the damage done. He needed to be authentic in his remorse and show that he was truly committed to change. As Anna entered the store, Fernando approached her with a respectful demeanor. She immediately noticed the difference and stopped to listen to what he had to say. The atmosphere was charged with expectation, but Fernando was not intimidated. He took a deep breath and began to speak with a tone that conveyed genuine humility. "Anna," Fernando began, "I want to sincerely apologize for everything I did and said. I made a grave mistake in underestimating you and trying to ridicule you. Not only did I fail to recognize your value as a professional, but I also allowed my prejudice and ego to interfere with the store's environment and your opportunities." Anna looked at Fernando with a mix of surprise and caution. She had experienced much disdain and resistance, and Fernando's words were a positive step, but concrete actions were also needed to believe in the change. Fernando continued, "Upon reviewing the footage, I saw something that made me realize how much value you've brought to this store. I saw the dedication with which you care for the pieces, the deep knowledge you share with customers, and the genuine way you connect with each of them. You've taught me a valuable lesson about the true value of people and things." He paused, seeking the best way to express his regret and gratitude. "I want to thank you, Anna. You helped me see beyond my own limitations and prejudices. I am deeply sorry and want to do things differently from now on." Anna, with a look of understanding and a slight smile, accepted the apology. She knew that words were a start, but what really mattered was seeing changes in Fernando's behavior and how he would treat everyone in the store moving forward. Fernando knew he needed to demonstrate his change through actions. In the following days, he began to treat everyone in the store with more respect and consideration. He engaged more with the team, listened to their suggestions and concerns, and started to recognize each team member's hard work. He created a new work environment where ideas were valued and efforts appreciated. Fernando also began to show more interest in the employees' stories and passions. He organized a small celebration to thank the team for their hard work and support. During the event, he gave a public speech in which he praised Anna and the team for the essential contribution they had made to the store. "From today on, I want everyone to know that your dedication and passion are what truly make a difference here," said Fernando. "Anna, you've opened my eyes to the true value of people and things. I'm grateful for that and promise to do everything possible to be a better leader." Anna smiled sincerely upon hearing Fernando's words. Although she knew changes wouldn't be instantaneous, the genuine recognition and gratitude were a significant step towards restoring trust and improving the work environment. The store now became a place where collaboration and respect were the norm. Customers continued to visit, drawn by the new atmosphere and the team's renewed dedication. The store thrived and became an example of how true change and growth can arise from recognizing and valuing the work and people around us. Fernando had learned a valuable lesson about the importance of empathy and respect. He was determined to continue growing and to be a better leader. committed to an environment where everyone could feel valued and respected. Fernando's journey of transformation was proof that recognizing the true value of people can lead to profound and positive changes. After the sincere reconciliation between Mr. Fernando and Anna, the antique store underwent a transformation that was felt by everyone who walked through its doors. The atmosphere, once marked by tension and disdain, now exuded a new energy of warmth and respect. With Fernando committed to changing his leadership style, the first visible change was the reorganization of the workspaces. Noting the way Anna cared for the pieces with such passion and skill, he decided that the environment should reflect this same attention to detail. Fernando invested in improvements to the store's layout, creating a more open and accessible space where the history of each item could be appreciated with greater clarity and interest. The new design not only facilitated the display of antiques, but also provided a more comfortable space for both the team and customers. Communication among the employees changed radically. Fernando now actively listened to the team's opinions and concerns. He organized weekly meetings where everyone had the opportunity to share their ideas and suggestions. Anna, previously viewed with disdain, was now at the center of these discussions, contributing her perspectives and experiences. Her expertise with antiques and her talent for connecting with customers became valuable assets to the team. The improvements were not limited to the store itself. Fernando dedicated himself to educating the team about the importance of empathy and respect. He organized training on customer service and diversity, reinforcing the need to treat everyone with dignity and consideration. The team began to understand that each customer and each piece had a unique story, and this understanding transformed the way they attended to and interacted with visitors. Anna, now valued and respected, became a cornerstone of the store's new philosophy. She began to lead educational sessions for customers, sharing her deep knowledge about each piece. Her stories about the origins and meanings of the items captivated visitors and made them feel part of something larger. Her ability to create an emotional connection with customers was palpable, and as a result, the store saw an increase in the number of loyal and satisfied customers. The store's new reputation began to spread throughout the city and beyond. People traveled from distant places to experience the warm and authentic atmosphere that now defined the store. Stories of how Anna and the team treated customers with empathy and attention started appearing on local blogs and social media. The store was highlighted in several articles for its commitment to genuine service and the preservation of antique stories. Fernando realized that the positive impact of the transformation was much broader than he had imagined. The store, once known for its cold and impersonal environment, was now praised for its authenticity and human warmth. Old customers returned to see the changes, and new customers were delighted with the experience offered. A standout event was the celebration of the store's first anniversary in its new phase. Fernando, Anna, and the entire team organized a party for the store's customers and friends. The event was an opportunity to thank everyone who had supported the transformation. There was a special exhibition of some of the most valuable antiques, with Anna explaining their stories and meanings. The party was a resounding success, and visitors left with a sense of satisfaction and connection with the store and its team. During the event, Fernando gave a speech in which he expressed his gratitude to Anna and the entire team. Today, we celebrate more than the success of our store. We celebrate the value of respect and empathy. Anna, you have taught me a lesson that has changed the way I see the world and the people around me. I am deeply grateful for that. This store is now a reflection of what we can all achieve when we work together with understanding and appreciation. Anna, with a proud and grateful smile, accepted the praise with humility. She knew that true success was not just in the visible changes, but in how people now felt valued and respected. The store was not just a place to buy antiques. It was a space where each item and each person received the dignity and care they deserved. The lasting impact of this transformation was a testament to the power of positive change. The antique store, now a symbol of authenticity and empathy, became an inspiring example for other businesses and communities. Fernando, Anna, and the team continued to cultivate an environment where true appreciation and mutual respect were the norm, and the store thrived as a place where genuine stories and connections flourished.